Hi guys, it's Dr. Mo here from Inspire Medics, and today we're going to be talking about what you should do if you fail a medical exam. So this might be at medical school, it may be that you are a postgraduate doctor, so you've got your degree and you've failed a specialist exam. How do you move on from there? So it's happened to me personally, of course. I have failed medical exams before, and the question is, how do you bounce back from that? And there's a couple of quick tips we're going to give you today, which are going to be super powerful so that you can bounce back, you can become a better doctor, and of course you can go ahead and pass the exam. So the first thing is you are going to be really sad and upset because you failed the exam. Most medics are high achievers. They've passed all the exams they've ever done in their life. And so when you fail an exam, it can be a shock. So the first thing you need to do is you need to step away from the problem and the issue which has occurred. So in this case, let's say you failed a finals exam during medical school, maybe an advanced knowledge test for your GP assessment, for example. You should at that point in time step away from revision, because what you don't want to be doing is clouding your vision during that point in time, because you're basically going to be overloaded with emotions. So maybe take 4 or 5 days, maybe a week or so away from any revision, so you can have a think about what's happened, maybe why it's happened. That's also important, and also how you're going to address the issue. Now, once you've had that time away, you'll get clarity of thought. That's the most important thing. You'll get clarity of thought to decide what the next step forwards is. And if you follow the steps which I'm about to talk you through, you will maximize your chances of passing the exam when you come to resitting it. So the first thing you need to do is analyze why you've failed in the first place. Maybe you were unwell. Maybe you didn't spend enough time revising. Maybe you weren't revising in the proper way or going to the correct resources. For example, if you are revising for the advanced knowledge test for the RCGP exams, normally you have to approach the NICE guidelines, the BNF, and that's where the majority of the questions come from. But if you've been revising from the Oxford Handbook of Clinical Medicine, which isn't a bad resource, it can be quickly outdated, and therefore your knowledge isn't up to date as perhaps the online resources will be. So first thing is, how are you approaching your revision? Now here at Inspire Medics, obviously a lot of the courses that we do, we talk you through what the best revision places are, where the best places to revise for exams are, and that's super important. So you want to get the right information. After that, you want to obviously work out why you failed, in terms of, have you spent enough time revising? Maybe you've crammed before the exam and that's not enough. Most exams require 3-4 months of preparation, half an hour to an hour each day at least, and therefore you build your knowledge each and every day. Now, a good example of this is Milo of Crichton. So this is an ancient Greek character who basically wanted to become the strongest man in the world. And he was told by one of the philosophers at the time that, why don't you lift a baby calf, so the baby of a cow, each and every day, and you will become the strongest man in the world. So what he did was, the first day this calf was born, he lifted it, and the second day he lifted it again, and he carried that on each and every day. And over a period of about 2 to 3 years, eventually he was lifting a whole cow up in one go, and he became the strongest man in Greece. So what's the moral of this story? So the moral of the story is that if you do a small amount of work each and every day, you'll build on that knowledge base, and eventually your knowledge base will become good enough for you to pass your exam. And that's really the key principle you have to bear in mind. Finally, stress does play a part. So obviously, if you're very stressed before the day of an exam, you're going into exam, you haven't eaten well, you haven't slept well, it's going to affect your performance. Multiple studies have shown that if you don't get enough sleep the day before a major event, major exam, for example, your cognitive abilities are going to drop, and therefore it's super important that your mentality, your psychology is that you're going to get a good night's rest, you are going to pass this exam, you've prepared well, and you're going to push on with that. So just to summarize, how do you approach an exam if you've failed? First thing is, obviously, step away from what's happened. Secondly, analyze what's happened so you can determine what you've done wrong and how you can address that, and obviously work more smartly and more efficiently. Thirdly, have a set schedule in place so that you can revise step by step, bit by bit, each and every day in the build up to the exam using the correct resources. And then finally, the day before the exam, you want to make sure you're super well rested, that you're on top of your cognitive abilities in terms of your game and what you're going to do on the day. And finally, of course, on the day itself, you want to make sure you're well hydrated and you're well fed, so you're not hungry on the day. So hope these couple of few tips do help. It is obviously very, very stressful when you do fail a medical exam, but the good thing to know is most doctors and most medical students go on to pass those exams later on. They do become fully qualified doctors, they do become specialists, and it's a part of the training. I mean, medical training is super, super hard. It's difficult, it's not easy, and therefore you want to be the best doctor you can be. And if it means you have to resit an exam and your knowledge base gets stronger, that's just going to be an added advantage to the patient, because they're going to get a doctor who's super clued up about what they need to know to treat that patient. It enhances your knowledge, your disease understanding, your communication skills if it's a practical exam, and it's all a bonus. So don't think about it negatively that, oh, you failed an exam. Take it as an opportunity to build yourself up, to become stronger, to become a better doctor. And often those doctors who fail exams do become better doctors, sometimes even better than their peers, because they have to work harder, they have to work smarter, they have to address their weaknesses. And that's the beauty of perhaps failing an exam. Always take a positive away from something that initially was a negative. So I hope you found this video useful. Make sure you subscribe to our social media channels. Make sure you check out our website, and we look forward to seeing you soon.